Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies Africa review, so let's just get right into it. So this episode picks up where the last one left off, where Natalie put together this little house meeting, and things went left immediately when Natalie ended up bringing up Dolly needing to give back Tavy's Baddies chain. We know that, Dolly snatched it a few episodes ago, and ever since she snatched it, this chain has been a topic every single episode. Honestly, I wish that Dolly would have just given it back because I'm tired of hearing about the chain, but Tavy and Dolly end up fighting because Tavy jumps up and she calls out Dolly, so Dolly runs over there. They start fighting, and to me, Dolly won that fight between her and Tavy because Tavy was too busy trying to grab onto Dolly while Dolly was swinging, so Dolly was just catching her, so I will give the first round to Dolly. But when that fight got broken up, Ivori pulled Tavy in the corner and she started trying to help her take her wig off, and then she's basically coaching her on how to fight Dolly. So I can kind of understand why what happens at the end of this episode ended up happening the way that it did in this situation with Ivori trying to coach Tavy on how to fight Dolly is one of the reasons why I can understand why things escalated later on in the episode. But they start fighting again. In this second round, I will say that it was a tie because this time Tavy fought better. I guess she was taking Ivori's advice and the two of them were both swinging and catching each other, so I'll give this second round between the two of them a tie. But after the second round was broken up between the two of them, Dolly goes and gets an ice pack for her hand and she's sitting down next to where Lex is standing, and all of a sudden Tavy runs over there and she sneaks Dolly while Dolly is sitting down, and Lex is putting her hands between the two of them because she wants them to stop fighting because obviously Dolly's sitting down, and all the other girls run over there like Lex is trying to jump Tavy, and I can understand why they did that, but she wasn't jumping her. She was putting her hands between the two of them so that they could stop fighting. But I like the way that Ivori and Big Lex were able to communicate because Lex said that she wasn't jumping Tavy, she was trying to stop them from fighting, and that's when Ivori said that she was aware that Lex wasn't jumping in. They were just going over there to make sure that the girl didn't get jumped, so I'm glad that they were able to clear that whole situation up. But I guess during that fight when Tavy ran up on Dolly while she was sitting in the chair icing her hand, I guess Dolly tried to bite Tavy on the face, so Tavy ended up spitting at Dolly, which was absolutely disgusting. All the biting every season and then the spitting is just nasty. And I saw the spit fly out of Tavy's mouth across the room, which was disgusting. Now at this point, Summer is going back and forth with Cold Killer because Summer said that she has smoke with somebody, and Cold Killer jumps up and she starts addressing Summer, and Summer tells her that she needs to be worried about Marissa, who is sleeping with her baby daddy. So they start going back and forth with each other, and while they're going back and forth with each other, Tavy runs up on Dolly again. But this time security was in the way, so they couldn't really do anything. Tavy was definitely swinging, but she wasn't connecting any hits because she couldn't really reach over the security. And Ivori and Diamond keep saying things to Natalie, telling her that she needs to do her job and get Dolly to give back Tavy's chain, and it's just like, how about Natalie just give Tavy a different chain and allow Dolly to keep the chain that she snatched and broke? I mean, why would you want to give her a chain that's broken anyway? Because she does end up getting her chain back. Like, Dolly does end up giving her the pendant back for her Baddies chain because Rolly tells her that she should so that she doesn't end up going home, and Dolly does end up doing it, but I would have rather had a new chain rather than one that somebody snatched and broke. Like, to me, I wouldn't want that. Then K. Regan out of nowhere just runs up on Summer and the two of them start swinging on each other. To me, neither one of them could really fight, but K. Regan really can't fight. I get kind of annoyed whenever she runs up on somebody because we know she's just going to have her head down and she's going to start swinging blindly, and that's exactly what happened between this fight with her and Summer. But I guess K. Regan still wanted to fight because now she's calling out Russian Cream. She feels like Russian Cream is fake. She feels like Russian was saying things behind the scenes before they started filming, but then when they came on the show, she was the complete opposite of what she was making herself seem like before they started filming the show. So she calls out Russian Cream, and at first Russian doesn't want to fight, but eventually Russian Cream does end up getting up and the two of them start fighting. And I will say, I feel like this first round between K. Regan and Russian Cream, I think Russian Cream won. I think she can fight. I just think she couldn't beat Rolly. And then her and K. Regan start fighting again for a second round, and this time they kind of fall into the corner and we can't really see anything. Like, security is literally in the way, but when they got up, it looked like Russian Cream had the upper hand, so I can't say who won the second round because we really couldn't see anything. When that fight got broken up, K. Regan started yelling about how Russian Cream is being fake with Summer, Dolly, and Lex because they have a video of her before they started filming calling them ugly, and Rolly starts telling them to show the video, so they pull out the video and they show it to to Summer, Dolly, and Lex says that they already know about the video because Rush and Cream already told them. And everybody, including Rolly, seemed to be really disappointed that Lex, Dolly, and Summer didn't just take off on Rush and Cream. It's because Rolly doesn't like Rush, and that's the reason why she wanted them to go off on her, because I just feel like they're making this video bigger than what it actually needs to be. Like, I'm not really a fan of Rush and Cream, but trying to hold her to something she said before she even met these girls and before she even started filming the show doesn't really feel fair to me, because in that case, then we have to do the same thing when it comes to Fana, because she made a lot of comments about Ivori on social media that people have screenshotted and it's been going around social media. But when Fana got on the show, she definitely didn't address Ivori about anything that she said. She's been cool with Ivori this entire time. So if we're going to say that Rush and Cream needs to be held to a standard because of the things that she said about Summer, Dolly, and Lex before she met them, then we have to do the same thing when it comes to Fana. So I feel like this whole video thing didn't really make any sense. And Scotty ends up getting in her confessional, and she says that Summer, Dolly, and Lex look stupid hanging around Rush and Cream calling her a friend after they called her ugly, but she hangs around with plenty of girls that call her names and that have actually put their hands on her. Like, Natalie has put her hands on Scotty. Rolly has talked to Scotty any type of way. Like, so I just don't understand why Scotty would be the person to say this. And this is why I don't like when people make it seem like Scotty's just so innocent, because she's always making comments, and then when she gets checked on it, everybody feels like the other person is in the wrong. Now, Cold Killer decides that she's going to call out Elsie for a fight. I guess they got into it at the winery. Cold Killer slapped Elsie in the face, but they didn't fight that day, but now they're trying to fight several days later. It didn't really make any sense to me, but the two of them start fighting with each other, and honestly, neither one of them could fight, so neither one of them was doing anything. Nobody won that fight between the two of them, but for some reason, Kay Rican ends up getting involved. She tries to swing on Elsie while Elsie is in the middle of fighting Cold Killer, and, you know, Lex jumps up and she pushes Kay Rican back, and Fana reaches over security and she pops Lex in the face. And then she gets in her confessional and has the audacity to say that Lex is always trying to jump in fights. And it's like, Lex wasn't jumping in a fight. Kay Rican, your friend, was jumping in the fight, and Lex was trying to stop her from jumping Elsie, and you hit her in the face. And you hit her in the face while security was in the way. So Lex and Fana square up because Lex is ready to fight her because she hit her in the face. So they square out with each other. They start fighting, and Lex starts catching Fana, okay? And Fana ends up falling forward, okay? And people kept saying, oh, she slipped over the rug. She slipped over the rug. That wasn't a rug. That was the floor. And Fana lost. I'm sorry. She lost. And she hit Lex for no reason at all, because Lex didn't even jump in that fight. She was pushing Kay Rican back because Kay Rican was trying to jump Elsie. So she did that for no reason. So basically, Fana got her ass beat for no reason at all. So Fana and Lex square up again for a second time, and this time Lex just starts catching her again. And to me, there's no excuses. She can't beat Lex. We saw them fight 2 rounds with each other. Lex took over the fight. She won, and that was it. And I don't want to hear that she's small, because to me, Fana doesn't look like she's small. When her and Lex were standing next to each other, there didn't look like there was that much of a difference between the two of them. Lex is just a tiny bit taller than her, but other than that, Fana's not necessarily somebody I would consider small. And whether she's small or not, she chose to swing on somebody that was bigger than her and that can fight better than her, so there's no excuses. I just feel like Fana's head was gassed up a little bit too much before the season even started airing. Like, we didn't even get to see the season yet before people started gassing up Cold Killer, Fana, and, you know, Kay Rican, and I just felt like we should have waited until the season started, because honestly, I don't find really any of them likable. Like, Fana is really pretty. Like, she's a really pretty girl. I honestly don't feel like she should even be on this show, but she is on the show, and I just feel like I forget her a lot of the time, so I just felt like her head was gassed up a little bit too much. So when that fight is broken up, Elsie ends up saying that she's not going home, okay? She said that she has been fighting, she has been standing on business, and at the end of the day, she's from Africa, so she's not really far from home anyway. Which I thought was funny. I don't really feel like Elsie belongs on this show, but she does bring a little bit of comedic relief sometimes. But Rolly just had to get involved, and she starts telling Elsie that she felt like she should go home because she allowed Tavy to get beat up and she didn't jump in. And I don't understand why Rolly keeps referring to Tavy as Elsie's friend when Elsie keeps telling her that Tavy is not her friend. Tavy hit her in the face and screamed and yelled at her in front of everybody. If that girl doesn't even know her like that and she hits her in the face, why should she have to defend her in any situation? It was just annoying to me. Like, Tavy is not Elsie's friend. Elsie did not have to get involved in any fight that Tavy was involved in. So then Rolly starts saying that she feels like Russian Cream and Elsie should go home, and Ivori starts telling them that they need to fight for their spot. So Russian Cream and Elsie run at each other and they start fighting. They weren't really fighting, they were holding on to each other, and security was holding Russian Cream's arm back, so she couldn't really do anything anyway. I did think that it was stupid that they decided to fight each other just because people told them to, because the other girls in the house don't get to determine if they go home or not. So I just didn't understand what was the point of the two of them running up on each other and deciding to fight for their spot. I just think that whole fighting for your spot thing is stupid. Now, here's where I can understand where Lex gets annoyed at Scotty, okay? Because Fauna starts calling Lex stupid because she's calling Russian Cream her friend when Russian Cream was calling her ugly, and Scotty was over there agreeing with everything that Fauna was saying, and Lex ends up calling out Scotty and telling her that she should be the last person talking about somebody stupid for calling somebody a friend who called them ugly when she's standing next to Natalie, and Natalie called her ugly too. And I felt like Lex had a point there, because who is Scotty to tell anybody that they look stupid being friends with somebody who said something about them behind their back when she's been cool with Natalie for multiple seasons after Natalie has disrespected her numerous amounts of times? Even Rolly has really disrespected the hell out of Scotty. Not only has she disrespected Scotty to her face on the show, especially in that episode last season where, you know, Tommy came, she really was talking to, you know, Scotty crazy, and Scotty still stands next to her as a friend. And then Natalie has also put her hands on Scotty. And so I just felt like Scotty was the wrong person to make any comments when it comes to Lex being cool with Russian Cream after she called them ugly. And Fauna should be the last person talking to. Like I said, she made negative comments about Ivori on social media before they started filming, but as soon as she came in the house, she was cool with Ivori and she didn't want no smoke. I just feel like Scotty runs her mouth a lot and expects for nobody to say anything to her, and then when somebody finally does check her, then everybody makes it seem like the other person is a villain and Scotty's this innocent person. No, Scotty is not innocent. Scotty runs her mouth a lot and thinks that because she's sleeping with the boss that she's able to get away with everything and nobody's gonna check her. And I'm glad that Lex did check her. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Summer starts coming at Marissa, and I didn't understand what her issue with Marissa is, because Marissa hasn't done anything to anybody and definitely hasn't done anything to her. So I did think that that was really weird that, you know, Summer started calling out Marissa, but Marissa ends up running over there and her and Summer start fighting. And I will say Summer did have her head down, and, you know, Marissa was swinging with her head up, but she was swinging at the air. She wasn't really catching Summer at all. So I felt like maybe if Summer was a little bit closer to her, she could have caught her and she probably would have won the fight. But because she was swinging at the air, I'm gonna say nobody won that. But why was Ivori, Diamond, and Pretty P jumping up and down, grabbing Marissa happy, and basically cheering that she fought Summer? So this is why I can kind of understand why Dolly reacts the way that she reacts at the end of this episode, and I'll explain more when we get there. But Natalie tells everybody that they need to get ready because they have a club appearance later that night. So as everybody is starting to leave, Tavy runs up and she sneaks Dolly. So Dolly runs up on her and they start fighting. And to me, Dolly definitely won this round because I watched it in slow motion. Dolly definitely got more hits in than Tavy, which I thought was kind of weird, because why are you sneaking somebody but then they're able to get the upper hand on you? If you sneak somebody, you should definitely have the upper hand. Now, here's where things get really chaotic, okay? Everybody's at the club having a really good time, okay? Ivori is on the top on the stage, okay? And Dolly and Summer are on the floor dancing with each other, just having a good time. Pretty P grabs Ivori and pulls her down to where Dolly and Summer are dancing, and they start dancing like really aggressively in front of Dolly and Summer. And basically Ivori reaches over and she wraps her hand around Summer's neck, and Summer kind of pushes her hand back and kind of laughs it off. Then Ivori reaches over and she wraps her hand around Dolly's neck, and Dolly kind of pushes her hand back, and you can see that Dolly was telling her like, stop, chill out, and Ivori still kept reaching for her and coming towards her. So Dolly swung on her and Ivori ended up falling backwards in the club. I don't feel like Dolly was wrong in this situation, and this is my reasoning why. She was on the floor dancing with Summer. She wasn't bothering anybody. Pretty P grabbed Ivori and brought her down to where Summer and Dolly were, and it looked like she did it on purpose because she wanted to stir up some trouble, because why would Ivori try to reach over and grab Summer and Dolly by their necks when she's been cheering for their ops the past few episodes? I mean, a couple of episodes ago, she had everybody booing Dolly in the club when she was doing her performance. defense. And then in this episode, Ivori was coaching Tavy on how to fight Dolly. And then also in this episode, she was cheering on Marissa when Marissa was fighting Summer. So why would Ivori think it's okay to grab onto their necks? And I don't know if she was really playing around or if she wanted to really stir something up. She did say that she was really drunk, but that's every reason why you shouldn't play around like that. According to Dolly, Ivori grabbed her aggressively around the neck and she told her to stop and she kept doing it, so that's the reason why she swung. I don't think that Dolly was wrong for swinging, because had the roles would have been reversed and Dolly would have done that to Ivori, Ivori would have definitely took off on Dolly. And Scotty starts saying, oh, Dolly hit Ivori out of nowhere. It's like, no, she didn't hit her out of nowhere. Ivori grabbed the girl by the neck and she swung on her. And that's why I don't like when Scotty says things, because Scotty never has the full story and then she just jumps to take people's sides and tells what happened when she doesn't even really know what happened. And this is not the first time that she's done that. Diamond is a little bit funny though. Sometimes I do have my issues with Diamond, but I did think that it was funny when she climbed to the top of this like pole thing that was in the middle of the club and she reached down and she popped Dolly in the face. That shit was funny, because then Diamond ended up falling off the damn thing too. I thought that was funny. But they end up getting kicked out of the club and Ivori is crashing the hell out, okay? She is outside flipping out, going off. She's crying, she's yelling, she's screaming, she's hitting cars. And Diamond and Pretty P are over there trying to calm her down and have her back. And she pops them both in the face. I'm sorry, I don't care if my friend's drunk or not. You're not about to hit me in my face. I have to reevaluate this friendship, because I don't care if you're drunk, don't hit me in my face. Like, I understand Ivori seems like one of those people where if she's mad, don't try to calm her down. Leave her alone and let her breathe on her own and then come check on her when she finally calms down. But her hitting them in the face and choking them and shit, that was doing too much in my opinion. And I saw fans making excuses for Ivori's behavior because they like Ivori, but had Dolly would have been drunk going off like that and Summer and Lex were trying to calm her down and she popped both of them in the face, people would be saying, oh, see, I told you that she wasn't really their friends and she doesn't really like them, because look what she did to them when they were just trying to calm her down. She hit him in the face. But because it's Ivori, everybody made an excuse for it. It took so long to get Ivori on the sprinter so that they can head back to the Baddies house, but they finally ended up getting her on there, and she did say that when she gets back into the house, there's no talking. As soon as she gets off the bus, she's fighting Dolly. Meanwhile, Dolly is on the other sprinter with LC, Summer, and Lex, and she starts telling them that the reason why she felt some type of way when Ivori grabbed her by her neck is because it didn't seem playful. She said that Ivori came over there and she was acting aggressive, grabbing them by their necks, and when they would push her hands down, she would keep grabbing at them some more. And she said that Ivori said fuck y'all to them while they were over there. So to me, that doesn't seem very friendly. And Dolly said something that made sense to me. She said that Ivori has been playing both sides. One minute Ivori is acting like she's cool with Dolly, Summer, and Lex, and then the next minute she's cheering on their ops and teaching them how to fight them and all that shit like that. So I can understand why Dolly felt some type of way. I know people were saying that Ivori was just playing, but according to Dolly, it didn't feel like just playing to her. Now they pull up to the Baddies house and Natalie is mad as hell, okay, because they got kicked out of the club. So she decides to make up this lie that they're banned from Africa because of the fight that they had in the club, because she thinks telling them this is going to make them calm down and stop. But there's no calming down Ivori when she's mad, especially when she's drunk and mad. So I just felt like that wasn't going to help anyway. They all start telling Natalie that Dolly hit Ivori out of nowhere for no reason and that she's the one that started it. So Natalie starts telling Dolly that she needs to fight Ivori because she started the fight in the first place, and Dolly starts yelling at Natalie, telling her that she didn't start the fight. Ivori grabbed her by the neck and choked her first. And that was crazy to me that everybody was making it seem like Dolly hit her first out of nowhere. And it's like they didn't even see what happened, but they're immediately taking Ivori's side. That didn't make any sense to me, because even if you don't like Dolly, Summer, and Lex, you still have to admit when they're right and somebody else is wrong. Like, I feel like that's where integrity comes in. And that's why I try to do these reviews in an unbiased way, because at the end of the day, I don't know any of these girls personally. So there's no reason for me to give a biased opinion. You have to talk about what you see accurately. And that's what I try to do in these videos. And I hope that the people who do watch my videos and like my videos can see that I try to be fair and unbiased. But as soon as Dolly and Ivori start fighting with each other, the episode cuts, so we don't get to see who won. We'll have to wait until Sunday to figure out who won that fight between the two of them. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.